All right, welcome in. Today, we're breaking down a really fascinating framework on how to approach life's biggest risks. Whether it's a massive career change, a cross-country move, or even launching a new business, we've all stood right there on the edge of a major decision, just wondering how to take that calculated leap without letting doubt pull us under. Well, you are in the exact right place. We're going to unpack an explainer of Pastor Francis Ugbeikwo's book, Make the Leap, Understanding How Faith Works. Ugbeikwu actually presents a highly structured, step-by-step methodology for understanding exactly how faith operates in practical, everyday terms. To really grasp this whole idea, we have to look at the author's core metaphor. Ugbeikwu writes, "A parachuter exemplifies these concepts. He is confident and certain that from the moment he is given the order, jump, his parachute will open up." And taking a major risk in life requires that exact same level of absolute certainty. Because you don't just jump out of a plane and, hope for the best. You train, you pack the parachute perfectly, and when the order finally comes, you jump with total conviction. That rock-solid certainty, according to the author, is what we call faith. Okay, let's dive into this. Ugbeikwu defines faith very specifically. It is absolutely not a blind, reckless jump into the dark. It's actually the exact opposite. Faith is the certainty and confidence required to make a calculated leap. It's this highly organized preparation that actively removes all the doubt, fear, and unbelief. It's about having your parachute packed so perfectly that when you step out the door, you know exactly what's going to happen next. So, to get us to that point of absolute certainty, the author breaks the whole process down into 4 foundational building blocks. Number 1, the basis of faith. 2, the spirit of faith. 3, the word of faith. And 4, the act of faith. Finally, we'll bring it all together for step 5, making the leap. Let's get started. Step 1, the basis of faith, packing the parachute. To explain how faith is initially grounded, Ugbeikwu points back to the biblical story of Abraham. When God made a covenant with him, he provided 2 distinct things, a promise and an oath. Ugbeikwu defines the promise as a picture of a preferred future. It's that vision you're looking forward to. The oath, on the other hand, is the proof of performance. It's the guarantee that literally silences all contention. The author emphasizes that seeing this promise actually manifest requires immense patience, which he beautifully describes as a tree with a bitter root but sweet fruit. You just have to wait for your time and your turn. And that brings us to the ultimate test before any leap. Can God be trusted? Will he do what he says he will do? Does he lie? Does he fail? The author insists that you absolutely must test for integrity before trusting for performance. This integrity is the true basis of faith. If you believe the promise is sound, well, you focus on it, you don't lose heart, and you fully trust the foundation you've built. Let's move to and see how this builds into section 2, the spirit of faith, standing at the door. This is all about the mindset required right before you leap. The author illustrates this by looking at Moses sending spies into a new land, highlighting a really sharp dichotomy between faith and fear. 10 of those spies saw the giant inhabitants of the land, felt like tiny grasshoppers in comparison, and operated entirely in fear, which the author actually calls faith in the negative. They relied on their own strength and completely overestimated the problem. But Joshua and Caleb operated with a totally different spirit. They relied on God's strength and saw possibilities. The text argues that your attitude, much more than your aptitude, determines your altitude. If you think you can't, you can't. But if you think you can, you absolutely can. But having that right attitude requires understanding a really crucial distinction the author makes: mental assent versus true belief. You see, mental assent is just agreeing in your mind that something exists, like acknowledging a glass of water is sitting right there on the table. But believing, that means trusting and committing with your heart enough to actually reach out and drink the water. You cultivate this true belief by daring to be different, choosing to see possibilities instead of problems, and trusting the promise. Now we reach section 3, the word of faith, the verbal command. Now, what's really interesting here is how Ugbeikwu introduces this concept by analyzing the story of Jesus cursing a barren fig tree. It illustrates the immense power of our speech. He categorizes words not just as empty, passing sounds, but as having 4 distinct characteristics. Words are creative, they are containers, they are conduits or transmitters, and they are conveyors. The author stresses that you should never just keep quiet. Speak the solution, not the problem. Speak directly to your destiny, because as the text outlines, confession brings possession. If you truly believe something, you'll see it, you'll say it, and you'll do it. So how do you ensure you're actually speaking the right words? Well, Ugbeikwu outlines a strict system of mechanics for personal change. Your mouth outputs your history and your story.
But if you want to change that output, you must rigorously control your inputs. The author identifies these inputs as the eye gate, what you see, and the ear gate, what you hear. What you allow through these gates directly conditions your heart. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. For example, if you're constantly doom-scrolling negativity through your eye gate or listening to toxic advice, well, that conditions your heart and ultimately your output. If you don't like the output of your life, you have to actively change the input. And this leads to a very direct challenge from the text. What are you hearing? What have you been hearing? Are you allowing in doubt and fear, or are you actively filtering your inputs to generate personal belief? You might not be able to change where you came from, but by intentionally changing what you listen to, you absolutely can change where you're going. That brings us to our fourth component, the act of faith, the jump. To explain this jump, the author points to the incredible story of a paralyzed man whose friends literally broke through a roof just to get him healing. Ugbeikwu insists that in this framework, faith is a verb, not a noun. It is active, not passive. Faith in the heart is the product of revelation, what the author calls a rhema, a specific, custom-made word that generates belief. But once that belief is generated, you have to move. The paralyzed man lacked strength, right? But his faith drove him to partner with 4 men with the strength he lacked. Faith does the unusual to receive the unusual. The author uses a quote from Mike Murdoch to perfectly summarize this need for unconventional action. To get something you have never had before, you must be ready to do something you have never done before. Those friends breaking through the roof showed a total refusal to let anything stop them. They thought outside the box, they partnered up, they took persistent, progressive action to actually receive their breakthrough. So, the crucial point is section 5, making the leap, the final descent. We return to our paratrooper, standing right there at the door of the plane, waiting for the command. Ugbeikwu maps this final journey from internal thought to external achievement in 4 clear steps, based on the laws he's outlined. First, faith is conceived in the heart by controlling your inputs. Second, it believes before it receives, testing the integrity of the promise. Third, it actually receives what it believes. And fourth, it achieves through progressive, tangible action. It completely moves from mental assent to physical reality. Which brings us to the core thesis of this entire explainer. A leap of faith is absolutely not a leap into the unknown. When a paratrooper jumps, they aren't just guessing. They're relying on the laws of physics, their intense training, and their equipment. In the exact same way, the author argues that a true leap of faith is a leap on unfailing principles. It's calculated, it's organized, it's backed by the total certainty of the preparation you've put in beforehand. Ugbeikwu leaves us with a really powerful sequence to reflect on as we face our own risks. Your heart has conceived it, you have believed it, you've packed your parachute. The door is wide open. The only question left to ask yourself is this: are you ready to make it happen?